Hi, Virgo Sun, Moon, and Risings. Welcome to your November 2022 horoscope. My name is Cailin, and today I'm going to be covering all of the major transits for November using tropical astrology and the whole sign system. You can watch this horoscope if you are a Virgo rising, also known as Ascendant, a Virgo Sun, or a Virgo Moon, like me. And I would recommend that you watch all three horoscopes, reason being that it will give you a very good idea of what to expect for the month ahead. Generally speaking, I do find that people connect more to their rising sign, and that would be more so than their sun or moon. Having said that, as a Virgo moon, my Virgo horoscopes always apply to me. So anyway, now let's get into your reading. And let's start off with Mars being retrograde in Gemini. So Mars will station retrograde at the end of October on the 30th or the 31st, depending where you live in the world. And it will be retrograde for all of November, all of December, and it will be direct once again on the 12th of January in 2023. So because Gemini is a mutable sign and Virgo is a mutable sign, you will definitely be feeling this transit. And the people who will feel this the most are Geminis, Virgos, Sagittarians, and Pisceans. And that is because this is activating one of the four angular houses. So, theory aside, Mars retrograde in your 10th house indicates to me that there are some big changes that you are trying to integrate when it comes to your career, when it comes to career goals or personal goals and objectives and milestones that you want to achieve. And the 10th house is also connected to your public identity and your professional identity. So, because it represents the top of your chart, so this is the 10th house here, this is the most visible point of your whole chart. So your actions during this period of time will be extremely visible. Now, with Mars being retrograde in your 10th house, this can feel like you're taking 2 steps forward and 1 step back. So the step back is during the Mars retrograde period. It doesn't mean that you're going backwards or that things are going pear-shaped. It just means that you're going to have to put in a lot of extra energy and effort to achieve whatever it is that you want to achieve. So, Mars retrograde can indicate that there are some bumps in the road or some challenges, but because this is in your 10th house, there's something really amazing that you can achieve by the end of this transit. So, Mars will be in Gemini for a total of 7 months, and that will be from the 20th of August in 2022. So, this is going back 2 months to the day actually, and it will be there until the end of March. I believe it's the 25th, maybe 24th of March. So it's a 7 month transit. So this means that you potentially planted seeds or set the intention for what you wanted to achieve around the end of August or maybe sometime in the last couple of months. And then crunch time occurs during this retrograde. So you could be seeking out a career change. You could be working hard for a promotion. You could actually already be in a new role or have taken a risk in your career. And now you are having to put in the hard yards to actually, produce a good result. So for some of you, you could feel very challenged in your professional career during this period of time. Even if you're not trying something new, it could just be a very, very busy time for you where you are burning the candle at both ends. So just remember that Mars will be squaring you as a Virgo sun, moon, or rising for this 7 month period. And the Virgos who will feel it the most will be those between 8 degrees and 25 degrees. Now, the 10th house rules over authority figures, your boss, law enforcement as well. So anyone who's enforcing the rules or enforcing laws and who, like I said, has authority in your life and, with respect to government institutions and so on and so forth. So you could actually be appealing some kind of penalty that you received. Maybe this is something to do with the government, something to do with law enforcement. You could get in trouble with the law during this period of time. And I don't want to freak anyone out. As a Virgo moon, I am not worried about this at all. I've only ever had one speeding ticket, which I'm quite proud of. And basically what it means is you are pushing against whoever is trying to impose their rule over you or their authority over you. So maybe you're fighting back, maybe you are pushing for better benefits and working conditions in your chosen industry. And, the 10th house also rules over one half of the parental, it's the parental axes, which is the 4th and the 10th house. So this could indicate that you are butting heads with a father figure or someone who has a lot of influence and authority in your family. And it doesn't necessarily need to be a negative thing. Maybe this is you working up the courage to say no to people that you've wanted to say no to for a really long time. Now, if you are a boss yourself, this can see you being a bit more irritable than usual. So you can come off as pushy or agitated. So if you are in a position where you manage other people or you've employed other people, just watch your behavior during this period of time because, like I said at the beginning, your actions will be very, very visible. Now, this can certainly work for you. Okay, this can work in your favor. If you are trying really hard to get noticed, whether this is in career or whether this is to do with a personal goal or objective, and maybe this is about obtaining a position of leadership, even if it's not to do with work, your efforts can be noticed. It's just that it may take you until mid-January or even the end of March to achieve whatever it is that you want to achieve. So in terms of your public reputation, your professional identity, you may be changing things up. And with Mars ruling over your 3rd house, as well as your 8th house, it could be in relation to the matters that those houses rule over. So with Mars ruling over your 3rd house, maybe you are trying to push through an agenda with respect to sales, marketing, something to do with technology. You could be the leader of a small team and you're trying to rally your team and get people working together, which could prove there could be some challenges with that. The 3rd house is also connected to skills, tests, exams, and qualifications. So this could see you working really hard to prepare for a test, prepare for an exam. Because Mars is retrograde, you may actually have to retake a test or exam. It could be a driving test, just as an example. And the same can be said for coming out the other side with a qualification or a diploma or a certificate of some kind. Now, the 3rd house is, of course, connected to communications and social media, whether these are written, verbal, whether this is film, documentaries and so on and so forth. So you could be in the editing process. Maybe you've written the draft and now you're going over it with a fine-tooth comb to see if it is ready. On that note, and of course, this is a general reading, so just take this any which way you like. I would shy away from publishing something or releasing something brand new during this time, only because the Mars retrograde can indicate that there are issues with, let's say, the technology, the communications piece, the software, the app, the website, and you may need to do some, you may need to course correct if that is the case. So if you're wondering whether it's a good time to publish during the retrograde period itself, probably no. But again, it's a general reading. And on that note, if I can just reveal my own personal hypocrisy, I launched my own business during a Mercury retrograde. Having said that, if you've been working on something for ages and ages and it's delayed, now may be the time to launch. So the same can be said for my business, CAISTROLOGY. I had it nearly ready to go, had 90% done for months. And then, after like 3 or 4 months, I was like, I'm just going to do it. I don't care that it's the retrograde, it's delayed anyway. So I hope that makes sense to you guys. Now, lastly, with Mars ruling over the 8th house, which is connected to psychology, psychiatry, private matters, secrecy, as well as anything to do with the occult, sex, and taboo topics, you may be bringing these out publicly. So, what I mean by this is maybe you are making it known that you have been seeing a psychologist or that you struggle with certain mental health problems or issues. Maybe you're revealing to the world that, hey, you're actually really into astrology and tarot. And, there could be a little bit of pushback there with the retrograde, but, this could feel very freeing and liberating despite how some people may react. And that doesn't mean that it's going to be a bad reaction. It's just that it could take a lot of courage and effort for you to make certain things public. So now let's have a look at the full moon eclipse in Taurus. So this will be in your 9th house at 15 degrees and 59 minutes. Just correcting myself for those of you who've watched my past 4 or 5 videos, I think I've been saying 16 degrees. It's 15:59, want to be precise for my Virgos. So it will actually be nearly exactly conjunct Uranus, which will be at 16 degrees. And this full moon eclipse, total lunar eclipse, I might add, will be opposite Mercury and Venus. So that means that the sun will be conjunct Mercury and Venus in the sign of Scorpio in your 3rd house. So full moon eclipses indicate the ending of a chapter taking place or a situation reaching its peak. So it's kind of like a full moon, but on steroids. So it's more emotional, it's more impactful. The chapter that's coming to a close is more obvious or more significant, in some cases dramatic. And, I don't like to overstate things, least of all with practical Virgos, especially being a Virgo moon myself. But I mean, this is a dramatic full moon eclipse, so just want to state that freely. Now, because this is occurring in your 9th house, this can be connected to education, travel, your belief systems, whether these are religious, spiritual, political, just your own personal sense of ethics and morals. And the 9th house is also connected to mentors and coaches and people that we trust. So it's really about getting counsel and advice from someone who's kind of like not a harsh authority figure. It's someone who speaks kindly, generally speaking. The 9th house is a lucky house in astrology. So this eclipse is actually trining you as a Virgo sun, moon, or rising. So the energy of this eclipse is a lot more, what's the word? A lot kinder to us as Virgos because of this happy, harmonious trine. So it's going to be easier to handle the energy of this eclipse. Having said that, eclipses, just generally speaking, can lead to heightened emotions, despite being Virgos, disturbed sleep patterns, very much in line with Virgo culture. So if you already struggle to fall asleep, stay asleep, you wake up in the middle of the night, which I do almost every night, this will be heightened most likely for most Virgos. And essentially, there can be a feeling of unease and anxiety. But I just want to say that feeling uneasy and restless and anxious about the future is not an indicator of what will happen in the future. And sometimes I feel as though the energy of eclipses are hyped in a negative way, but then, it's like it's not that bad, or you're like, oh, that actually turned out in my favor. That was really good for me. So with this particular eclipse, when I say it's dramatic, that's because it is conjunct Uranus. So this is about a sudden, unpredictable event taking place, but again, it can be positive. This could be connected to a travel opportunity. This could be connected to obtaining citizenship or a visa. Maybe you are maybe your travel abroad is coming to an end. Maybe you're returning home. So there could be something swift or sudden about the, let's call it eclipse event that's coming through. Doesn't mean that it is a bad thing. Now, because we've got Mercury and Venus in the third house, which is connected to skills that we possess, communications, and also it is a business house and a social house, something that you've worked on, let's say maybe a project with a team, with a group, or a communications piece, could simply gain a lot more traction than you thought. And maybe that's a bit overwhelming. Maybe you have finished writing a book and, there's like that lull after you finish a creative project and you're like, oh, I've put in all this hard work. I'm going to launch it and then I'll have a bit of a breather, but maybe it takes off straight away. So you can see how there's this like rushed element with this eclipse. Doesn't make it bad though. Now, with this full moon eclipse being in your ninth house, this could be to do with your vision for the future. This could be to do with your belief systems. So even if nothing is really happening in a tangible way, which by the way, that's sometimes the case, full moon eclipses tend to be more psychological than new moon eclipses. So for you guys, this could just be like seeing a different vision for your future. I don't want to follow that path anymore. I want to deviate from the path. I want to do something different. Maybe you had a plan and now you're like, let's scrap that. I don't want to do that. I don't want to live in this place. I don't want to study this thing anymore. Maybe you are actually graduating from a university degree or higher learning or some kind of mentor-mentee relationship, whether you're the mentor or mentee, and now you're moving on from that. Or perhaps some of you are graduating from one thing and now there's an opportunity to take the next step in, let's just say, the realm of education. So this could see you on a different level, maybe going your separate ways with a spiritual belief system or a religious belief system. And maybe this is affecting your relationship with an influential figure. So someone who has guided you up till now, and you're like, actually, I don't think I'm on the same page as this person. I actually think I've learned everything I can learn from them, and now it's time for me to move on. So this could take you by surprise, especially if there's a lot of love in that relationship and with that person. And maybe it takes them by surprise. Maybe you're their prodigy, their star student. So, obviously there's a few different ways that this can play out, but essentially this is like you, I would say, coming out of some kind of existential crisis or the experience of existential dread. And on one hand, that could be very freeing and very liberating. But on another hand, it can be kind of scary, like, oh, what next? Sometimes when we see how many options are available to us, it can be overwhelming when it comes to taking the next step. So that's a few different ways that this full moon eclipse can play out. Just lastly, before I move on, again, that's on the 8th of November, but you may experience this anywhere between now and perhaps even mid or late November. So 3 or 4 weeks before the eclipse, 3 to 4 weeks after the eclipse, give or take. Having said that, we've also got an eclipse in 5 days' time. So this is a new moon eclipse in Scorpio, conjunct Venus, 2 degrees. So we're very much in eclipse energy. Some crazy, wacky stuff could have been happening even from the beginning of October. So now let's take a look at the 16th of November when Venus is going to enter Sagittarius. Venus transiting any house will make the areas that it governs go more smoothly. We'll enjoy it more. And so the fourth house is connected to family, uh, our home life, our actual homes, just in and of itself, property, um, flatmates, as well as family, if I didn't say that already. And so for some of you, you could just be enjoying more time with family, enjoying your relationship with family members or with flatmates, or perhaps if there's been tension in those relationships with family or with people that you live with, this can be harmonized and restored, and maybe you can just achieve a level of civility even if you're not besties in the home or with your family members. So on a different note, with Venus ruling over your ninth house, which is connected to foreigners and foreign countries, you could actually have someone from a foreign country come to stay with you or come visit you. Okay, so on a different note, maybe you're just entertaining more in your home. Maybe you are decorating your home, doing something artistic in the home. And on a different note, with Venus ruling over the second house, you could be buying furniture or possessions for your home, planting a garden, enjoying gardening. Just generally speaking, you could receive help or support or family from a family member or a flatmate. Maybe they're doing a favor for you. You could be doing a favor for them, but I see this more as you receiving, or perhaps things just being reciprocal. And then on the 19th of November, Mars will be retrograde in Gemini in your 10th house, and it will square Neptune in Pisces in your 7th house at 22 degrees. This square will occur 3 times. We already had it 8 days ago on the 12th of October, and the second time will be the 19th of November, and the third and final square between Mars and Gemini and with Neptune being in Pisces will be on the 14th of March. So this aspect is getting a bad rap out there, which I understand. But if I'm honest, on a personal level, world events are very different. I didn't even notice anything about this transit for me, my personal life, on the 12th of October, other than that I was extremely tired and jet lagged. Okay, to be fair, that's how I was feeling. I am a Gemini rising and I am a Virgo moon. So if anyone's going to feel this transit, should be me. And I really didn't, other than just, I was like, oh my God, I'm so jet lagged. So on one hand, there could be confusion about how this transit's going to play out, and then it's not even a big deal. And maybe there were some fears that cropped up about what's going to happen, especially with Neptune being in the 8th house, which is house of fears. And then it's like, oh, I actually overestimated that transit. On a different note, there could be confusion about what the next step to take is in your career. And I'm saying this because Mars is retrograde in your 10th house, which is connected to your career. It's the highest point of visibility in your chart. It represents positions of leadership, our highest worldly responsibilities. So there could be some confusion about what should I do next? And this could indicate that there is some meddling from a third party because Neptune's in that 7th house. So someone is trying to exert their influence over you, whether this is inadvertently or consciously. There can be some emotional manipulation there. Again, doesn't have to be intentional, but it could just be that that person is projecting onto you. Oh, don't do that. That's bad for business. Oh, don't say that. This would be a mistake, if you want to progress in such and such a direction. Or this could even be connected to your social standing, regardless of work, how people are perceiving you, what impression you're making out on the world. Maybe someone's saying, hey, don't put that out there, that might make you come off in a way which is going to be unfavorable or lead to undesirable results. So what I would do here is avoid asking people for their opinion on what you should do with your career, with putting yourself out there, with what you're putting up on the internet, just follow your intuition with this one. And if I'm honest, I would avoid just putting anything out there anyway. I just probably wouldn't be, going public with announcements around this date. It's a general reading, but this is my advice as a Virgo. I feel compelled to give my fellow Virgos advice, of course. And don't ask too many people for their opinion. Of course, if there's someone that you trust and they're objective, then go for it. But so my ears ringing, so this is definitely like, don't ask too many people. You may feel like a partner is not available to help support you with something that is important to you. Even if you know what the next step to take is, you may feel like someone's holding back from really extending that emotional support, or someone that you thought would have been sympathetic to this move that you want to take, or this announcement that you want to make. Maybe their reaction is confusing you. Okay, on a different note, if you were meant to announce any kind of relationship publicly, whether this is an engagement, that you're in a relationship with someone, that you're going into business with another person, or if you are even planning on releasing an announcement which is connected to your business or your services, or even just, any kind of personal connection, this announcement could go awry. And what I mean by this is could go sideways. So maybe someone else's announcement kind of trumps yours. So I would just avoid making any kind of announcement, because someone may steal your thunder. And this is specifically for the 19th of November, PS. So, a couple days before, a couple days after, just wait. If it's not like you have to put something out there, then just hold off if you can. Again, it's a general reading. So some of you may feel like you're confused about a partnership and who's responsible for what in that partnership, whether this is a friendship, a business relationship, even if you're working with a client, what they've asked for and what you deliver, there could be a discrepancy there. And a contract may not proceed as planned or in the timely manner that you had desired, or that the other party had desired. So if you can avoid it, do not set deadlines for the 19th of November, and do not agree to deadlines for the 19th of November. Just try to push it out further. Now, lastly, let's finish with the new moon in Sagittarius. So this will take place on the 23rd of November or the 24th of November, depending where you live in the world. It will be in your fourth house at 1 degrees. So new moon in Sagittarius at 1 degrees in the fourth house. Again, we're seeing one of these angular houses being activated. So that's the 1st, 4th, 7th, and 10th. These are the 4 houses in astrology. When they're activated, we feel it. Actual tangible things start to occur in our lives. So this can be connected to property. Please, astrology gods, let this be me finding a property after 3 years of looking. And if you want to find a property too, please let this be you. There's a very good chance that it will be. And I say this because the new moon is conjunct Mercury, which is your ruling planet, and it is conjunct Venus. So essentially, because this ties in your ruling planet, this is directly indicating that it'll have an impact on you. So you could buy a property, sell a property, you could be signing on to a new rental agreement, whether you are the renter or you are having new tenants come into your rental property. This could be new plans for your home, whether this is to renovate, decorate, get a new aesthetic, new vibe, maybe a new office space at home as well, especially because Mercury rules over your 10th house, which is work. And maybe this is new architectural designs, which is implied by the conjunction to Mercury and Venus, for a new home, or to extend your home potentially, especially because it's in Sagittarius. So it can certainly be extending your property further, outwards, upwards, whatever. Someone could come and move in with you, your living circumstances could change, and some of you may be making the plan to live abroad. So, because this is the new moon, this is about first of all, setting the intention, and maybe within that first week or 2 weeks either side, actually, to be fair, you could have the new idea, have that conversation, put that plan in motion, and it may not come to fruition for another month when we have the next new moon, or it could even be a 6-month process, which would be the next full moon in Sagittarius, or 18 months after that. So, what I mean by this is, if you are planning to, let's say, live abroad, maybe this is part of your 6-month forecast or 18-month forecast. Doesn't need to work on those timelines, but just wanted to give you some timelines. Now, for some of you, this could indicate that you're going to be working from home, and on a family level, the family front, because the fourth house rules over family, this can indicate that maybe you're planning to start a family or expand it further, adopt a child, foster a child, and so on and so forth. And there could just be changes in the lives of your family that are quite noticeable. And I just want to emphasize that this new moon has lovely energy with it, because it is conjunct Venus and Mercury. And Venus and Mercury are at 7 and 8 degrees. I can't remember which is which, but this is like a blessing on you. The blessing is Venus, Mercury is you. So, other than that, a few minutes after the new moon in Sagittarius, Jupiter will station direct in Pisces in your 7th house, which indicates that your clientele can expand. You can do more sales and deals if you are in sales. You can enter into a new contract or a partnership. And if you're already with another person, romantically speaking, this indicates that they can proceed with their goals and dreams, and there can be some kind of positive turn of events happening for them. And so, Virgo, that's all I have for you for November 2022. If you enjoyed this horoscope, please give the video a thumbs up. If you'd like to see more content on this channel, please hit the subscribe button. I am still working away on my 2023 yearly horoscopes, so these will be available for purchase very, very soon. And the videos will be about 2 hours long individually per horoscope. So make sure you're checking the website, keep an eye out for them, and I will see you guys in December.